What lays is he going to tell?
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the presentation on Dalradian Resources and what we're doing in Northern Ireland. So we're going to cover several topics in today's presentation, from geology through to the engineering work that we've done and where we stand in our permitting process. We're sitting in a large, high-grade gold system, a mesothermal system, orogenic gold system, as you can see in the Abitibi throughout north of Quebec. The deposit does come to the surface, so it's easy to access. We have gone underground on it. We've got about 2 kilometers of underground development. We have done at least 4 resource updates. We expect to do another one in the coming months, incorporating an additional 40,000 meters of drilling that we are currently wrapping up with the 5 rigs that we have on site. The last feasibility study we put out had a pretty good all-in sustaining cost of under $700, but it's one of the top quartile in the world. The flow sheet is pretty simple. We're getting 94% recovery in our tests. However, after our bulk sample was sent out to a mill comparable to what we're proposing to build, we were getting 96% recovery. So there are a lot of ways we think we can improve the feasibility study that we did put out. I'll walk through a few of those later on in the presentation. Our current strategy is to improve the economics through an increase in resource, through some tweaks to the feasibility study, and to move forward in the permitting process to build a mine. So in Northern Ireland, the focus has been, especially into the cloud of Brexit, investment and jobs, and we look to bring a lot of investment with this project and hundreds of jobs. We currently have 50 direct employees and another 50 contractors on site with all of the supply that comes out of that. In our build up to this, we've got over 600 job applications already for when we do move through the permitting process. We're financially strong. We just did with the close of our private placement last year and exercised some warrants. We have nearly $120 million in the bank to carry us through the next few years and the work programs we want to do. We've got nearly $20 million budget this year, and we want to budget at least $10 million a year towards drilling. We got pretty good coverage on the analyst front, from the big banks down to the boutique firms on both sides of the Atlantic. As I mentioned, that cash position is a little out of date after the close of our private placement, and the warrant exercise, we've got close to $120 million now in the bank, making us very well positioned from a cash point of view. The Carneal Gold Deposit sits in Northern Ireland. You don't really think about mining when you think about these islands, but there is a strong history of mining in the Republic, mainly in base metals. Just an hour and a half drive from us in the town of Navan, there's the Believens Terra mine, which is one of Europe's largest underground metals mines. We share contracting services with what we did when we were doing our underground work, and we hope to do so again in the future. We have seen a real upswing in investment in mining in Northern Ireland. There's traditionally at the PDAC every year, has been for the 30 odd years I've been coming here, an Irish night. Usually not with many sponsors. We've been one of the main sponsors in the last few years, along with one of our mining contractors. But this year there's over 25 sponsors representing a real resurgence in investment.
Can't even tell what's from.
So we have been underground, as I mentioned. We did a couple of years working underground with no lost time incidents. We got those underground exploration permits within a year of applying for them. So we are currently in a process where we have submitted an ESIA and a planning project description to the planning department. That's going through a period of review right now. We, as I mentioned earlier, did 2 PDAs. We also did a feasibility study. We're looking to improve that feasibility study in the 3rd quarter of this year. We did 5 resource updates, not 4, and it's about to be 6, resulting in a 7-fold increase in ounces since we acquired the project. So The current feasibility study rests on 1.44 million ounces of reserves with a head grade of 8.5 grams per ton. We got that using a combined measured and indicated of just over 2 million ounces, which we gave to the engineers, as engineers do. They take your ounces and reduce it. We have another inferred of 2.3 million ounces, which we've been working to convert over the past several months, with the idea that in our next resource update, we will have a much larger M&I number that the engineers can then work with in order to give us a larger reserve base for our next feasibility study. What we have here, as I mentioned, is a mesothermal vein system, orogenic gold, narrow vein mining. There's 16 veins so far. We know there's more. The resource I mentioned is within that blue box. The red lines represent the veins projected to surface that we know so far. If it's a solid red line, that's the vein that's in a resource category. A dashed red line, that's the vein that we've drilled into, but not with enough density in order to move it into any resource category. So in addition to converting inferred ounces to M&I, we know there's room to add more ounces just going along strike. It is open at depth as well. Our deepest drill hole is nearly a kilometer down where we hit the system, and it's still quite strong. Our mine plan and the feasibility study only goes down to about 400 meters. Nearly 2 kilometers off to the right then, always, we did some exploration drilling a couple of years ago. We hit nearly 5 meters at 15 grams. So we know the system's going to extend. If you step back even further, we can see gold in veins and outcrop for a 12-kilometer trend. So just on that kernel trend itself, we know that there's more to be found. The gold in the system, the kernel gold system, is very fine. It's always associated with pyrite, but not within the pyrite. It's not refractory. But we've never seen any visible gold. Yet in our panning campaigns, regional exploration campaign, we're getting small nuggets of gold throughout the concession package. And indeed, 4 kilometers away at a site called Fala, we're getting grab samples that look like an ounce of gold in hand sample. And 12 kilometers later, Dryla, we've got outcrop, where initial results came back with nearly 140 grams per ton or half a meter. We went back and sampled again and got results of nearly 170 grams per ton or half a meter. So we know there's a lot of gold in the area, and Geological Survey of Northern Ireland has known this for a while. They're the ones who encouraged us to come over. So 2018, drilling plan for several regional targets. We haven't prioritized them yet, but we do have soil sample panning, stream, and sediment sampling to continue on all licenses, and that's ongoing as we speak. There's over 120,000 hectares under mineral license. Again, these are closer to some of the gold that we've been getting from the streams. So we did do a feasibility study on that last resource we put out, and we designed a mill and mine site around existing trees and using the existing geography and topography to make it as inobtrusive as possible. So the numbers of the feasibility study as it currently stands, as I mentioned, we used the 2 million M&I that's existing, converted back to 1.44 million ounces of reserves. The gold recovery is 94.3% in the test that we did in the feasibility study. At the mill, as I mentioned, we were getting closer to 96%. I just want to point out, in this feasibility study, we went underground and we tested everything that we proposed doing. So all of the mining methods that we proposed doing, we did go underground and see that long hole worked, the geotech worked. So we're pretty confident with these numbers. We're proposing a 1,400 ton per day operation. But because of the grade, we'll produce 130,000 ounces a year. For the first 10 years. That's on average. We know that number can increase, as I'll show you in the production profile. Up to year 7, we're at nearly 170,000 ounces a year. And we think with more infill drilling, we can maintain that number. We bought a royalty back last year from Minco, who had held it for 30 years. They were part of the original Discovery Group back in the 80s. Just buying that 2% royalty had a pretty good impact on the economics. And you consider this is just a 10-year mine life. That's only working off the M&I we have. We know that it will be a much longer mine life. We're permitting for a 25-year operation. That is, you know, here in this room, up the Abitibi and some similar deposits, they've been in operation for generations, 75 to 100 years. It's not going to cost a lot for us to get there. It's $192 million to build it. That's US dollars. And over the life of mine, sustaining capital for that first 10 years is $165 million. So our all-in sustaining cost currently, as I mentioned, $653 per ounce. Pretty good. We hope to bring that down in the next feasibility study. Because some of the geotechnical work we've done has shown that we can rely more on long-hole drilling. We used $12.50 per ounce for gold, and that gave us an after-tax NPV of $322 million, so 430 million Canadian. Again, these are numbers that we hope to improve in the coming months. 25.5% after-tax IRR on the base case scenario. So life of mine gold production totaling 1.36 million ounces, with an average of 130,000 ounces per year over the first 10 years. So as the chart shows, using the current resource base, that goes up to 170,000 in year 7, and we hope to, with a lot of infill drilling and adding more ounces, we hope to extend that out from year 7 onward. So other factors that we're considering in the updated feasibility study are ore sorting. So this is something that we're going to be seeing a lot of, I think, in our industry going forward. The technology's really come forward. But using an ore sorting machine underground, we can eliminate nearly 30% of the waste before it even gets to the mill. That solves a lot of problems in terms of dilution as well. So it's great technology. We're looking forward to doing it. We've done a lot of tons. We've built the prototype at Steiner. Our infill drilling program focused on solving some geotechnical issues we had with the amount of cut and fill we could use versus long hole. We think we can use more long hole now. We think we can get that production rate up in terms of ounces. I'll speed this up. Gold recovery, you know, is going to improve. We are currently converting more inferred into M&I, but also going to expand the global resource base as well. I'm pretty sure that this next resource we're going to pass 5 million ounces. And to do that, we put in 40,000 meters of infill drilling. We did some step-out drilling, but mainly it was geotech drilling that we were doing in order to convert some of the areas into a more stable category. We have begun a permitting process. We put in an application to build a mine back in November. We have had 40 sit-down visits with the planners in advance of putting that application in order to make sure that we were doing everything under the codes and regulations. While we were doing our underground work, test work, we had 70 visits by the regulators to make sure we were doing everything that we could under the codes and laws underground. So, plan application submitted. It's currently in a review process, at the end of which we'll come back to some Q&A, and then we hope soon it can get referred to a public hearing, as one would expect in a project like this. There are many opinions on whether it should go forward or not, and we welcome a public hearing to have those those opinions heard and addressed. At the end of the public hearing, the judge would make a recommendation to accept the application as stands, except it with some terms and conditions applied or refuse. So we expect that to come over the next couple of years. In terms of engagement, we've had over 900 people underground to see the operations as they now stand. That's from school kids who we had to make special skin coat caps for, to a 90-year-old retired farmer. We've got over 600 job applications in, most of which are from the local area. 17 editorials in the papers, and we currently stand at 88 letters of support on the government page. So in summary, we find it to be a business-friendly jurisdiction. It's a very transparent permitting process, and we can go online and see what people have to say in favor or against the project.
You're pushing it now.
Okay. Large high-grade system, positive feasibility study coming out. It's a big resource, it's going to grow, and thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Patrick, and look forward to seeing how that evolves. Unfortunately, no time for questions on this
Sorry,
one.
I'm going to have to pull you. He's way out the door again. He ran out yesterday when I tried to question him.
Yeah, there's no questions, sir.
Sorry, I don't care. Look,
sorry.
this man has ruined our local area. He's trying to force through like there's no opposition to this protest. The political parties aren't in favour of this. Our local representatives aren't in
Again,
favour.
this is not the venue
Our
for it.
people are not in favour of this. And there's a 24-hour camp set up outside this gold mine. It's not going to happen. So if there's anybody here thinking about investing, save your money because you will waste it if you put it to this crook and to
Thank
anybody
you.
else
Okay.
associated with them.
Okay, we need to move on here.